because when you use the whole thing like husbands, I don't think men are husbands per se. I think men are men, and they just get married, and getting married makes them a husband. Like we don't change to be a husband. We don't develop into being a husband. We develop to be men, and then we get married, and then we change and from just call a man to a husband. Women are raised to be wives. Women are not raised to be
Oh, hold
wives.
on, Will. I gotta stop you right there, bro. Because you told me that you were not raised with a father in the house, right?
I
Right.
did say that.
Okay, so
Okay.
I was raised with my father in the home. My
Okay.
parents are still together till this day. And I
Okay.
can admit that he did raise me and my brothers to survive with, with the family one day, to be husbands.
Wait.
You know what I'm saying?
So what did he do to raise you to be a husband?
We had to change the tires. We put down hardwood floors,
That's being
tile,
a man.
did
I'm being a
work.
husband.
Nah, bro. But you have to learn how to take care of a family.
No.
Men,
Listen to what
some
I'm asking.
men
Listen to what
are
I'm saying,
developed
Sharon.
to learn how to take care
Sharon.
of families, bro.
Sharon. Girls who are raised to be wives are raised to cater to a man. When guys are raised to be men, they're not raised to be husbands.
I mean, I
You
would beg
are
to differ,
raised to
bro,
be
because
a
I was raised with
man.
a man that raised us in that manner. You know
So
what I'm
So
All right,
saying?
listen.
Will, can you give it? Okay, can
what's
you
the
guys
diff-
get some examples?
Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna say,
so
what's the
so
difference?
so women, they got this idea women wait on a man,
Now,
right?
what is it for men?
Women aren't even a part of the equation. When you're teaching a boy what you're teaching him survival skills, you're teaching him skills to be a provider. Now he has to provide for himself, and he decided to have children, provide for your wife and provide for your offsprings. But we're not raising you, teaching you a specific skill to be that of which qualifies you to be a husband. There's nothing. I wasn't raised with a dad, but just because I wasn't raised with a dad, don't mean I don't understand this concept. If you guys were raised to be husbands, tell me the specific trait that your father or your mother instilled in you to be a husband.
I would say, I mean, so the way I look at it is that my father hustled. He did whatever he had to do to provide. He, showed us how to work on the house. Hey, one day you're gonna have to cut the grass. So cut this grass, learn how to do this, learn how to do that. If the tire pops, you got to learn how to change the tire. You got to learn how to do brakes. And I highly doubt that if he was not there, I would have had the skills to learn that. And I don't know who I would have learned it from it or whatever. I just don't know.
So are
So
you
it's
Let me
telling
let
like,
me
me give
those
you
are
input.
you're telling me those are husband traits?
yeah, bro.
Yeah,
There's a totally
yeah.
difference from a man that's raised to just be out there, versus a man that is raised to take care of a family. Those are like night and day, bro.
Well,
And
I'll
I
do
could
you
well,
one even
always
better.
tell,
well,
huh?
what?
I'll do you one even better. And this will actually pull more clarity out of the question because I think JR posed a good question. If you as a father raise your son with all the necessary qualities to be a man and a thriving man in today's society, what would he be lacking that would disqualify him from being what would he be lacking that would qualify him to be a husband to a woman?
Who you asking?
I'm asking you that, Will, because you posed the question and there it was contrast between man and husband, in which I'm trying to get you to land on that specifically.
No, I'm what I said was we're raised to be men. You get legally married, now you're a husband. There's no husband task that we do
So
outside
you
of
agree?
sitting
So
yourself.
you right? So you agree that the title is not a skill.
Yes.
Title is just a title.
For men, it's not a skill, it's just a title. For women, it's a skill.
Okay.
Women are taught to be wives. They're raised to be wives. They're raised to wait on a man, to cater to a man, to support a man, to help a man.
Will, do you think self-sacrifice is part of manhood, or is that a trait you acquire more so after you become a husband?
But it's when you say
Because I
self.
think that's the biggest difference between like just manhood and being a husband. Because
No, 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 no,
there are
no. It's
things
not.
that you hold up, just walk with me. There are things that you do outside of that, right? If you're a man and you have your own home, you're gonna have to cut the grass, you're gonna have to fix plumbing or do whatever those things are, just in the essence of being a man, the things you were describing and you learn. The difference with being a husband or the leader of a family would be that you have to put the needs of others before yours because you're looking out for the good of those people. My question is, do you feel that that is an aspect of masculinity, or is that something that you acquire afterwards?
No, that's something you acquire afterwards with a conscious decision that you make. So think about this.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, let me explain it. You could challenge it all you want, and I would love for you to challenge it. So when you're raising a boy, you don't raise him to sacrifice for people who are not there. You don't teach him how to do that. How do you teach a boy to sacrifice for a person who's not currently present? Explain that to me.
Let's take life.
I mean, you could do that with
sacrificing your
your
life off the
siblings,
table.
bro.
But let's look at nurturing, because nurturing is actually what it is. Rendering care outside of yourself to others around you for the best interest of the other people around. If you want to teach your son how to be nurtured, how to render care for others around, you buy him a dog, you buy him a pet, you make him take care of it, feed it, clean it, pick up the shit, make sure it gets its shots, make sure it's not acting up, chastise it when it does something wrong. It's so many things that you can use to build a young boy into a nurturing being, and he could use those same qualities, those same instincts that he pick up when he was taking care of his dog. And I know people might look at it as crazy using the term dog, but it makes sense to be able to take care of others outside of yourself.
Wait. Listen.
I would even add on to that and say,
or a little brother, baby brother.
Gentlemen,
I would even say in sports, putting the kid in sports, getting them a job. These are all things these are all things that you're being a servant in. And if this young man is going to be a leader, he's going to rise to the top of he's going to be the cream of the crop, right? He's going to be on top. He's going to be the leader by instinct, because it's been developed over the years for him to be able to take charge.
You guys are conflating.
These are so Will, I get what you're saying. There's nothing there are things that there are husband traits that men have that they acquire as they grow up. The basics, of course, is providing, being stable, right? Being able to nurture, being able to be a servant. Now, what that looks like for your wife as a husband, that may look different. I'm quite sure Hank, Darwin, Will, you guys have been divorced, right? So I'm sure that.
Damn, just put my shit out. God
damn, my bad, Darwin. You mentioned it. You mentioned it before, so you know what I'm saying.
They forgot, man.
Damn, we just put my shit there. Damn. Let me get some of that. Damn,
but no, my point that I'm trying to make is that with each woman, yes, it's going to be the basics, right? We're going to have this standard line of what it looks like to be a husband, but it's going to look different from each woman, in my opinion.
Gentlemen, you guys are conflating. You guys are trying to merge these philosophies and act like when people are raising you to be a man, they were actually raising you to be a husband. Y'all not being raised to be husbands. Y'all are being raised to be a man.
Those are
y'all just happen to get married, and now y'all are husbands.
It's the same thing, though.
Those are transferable skills that a husband also has on his resume.
But it's not what you were raised to be.
You don't have.
It depends on who you're being raised by.
Transferable skills don't mean that's what you was raised to do.
Try to understand it from this. Men that never in any history, religiously, whatever, has a man had to be raised to be connected to a woman. By default, a woman is supposed to connect herself and submit to a man. It was something that a man had power over from default. A woman had.
That's why you don't need to raise them to be husbands.
That's what I'm saying.
You remember last week we talked about Anthony Mackie and how he was raising his sons to make sure he takes care of, protects his mother and his oldest son. I think he said 15 years old. he said he's raising his son to be masculine, to take care. He's pretty much teaching him how to be a husband and taking care of his families and his siblings. That's pretty much what he's doing, and make sure his mother's all right. He's pretty much showing him how to be a husband right then and there with the example he shared with on the pit.
Gentlemen, this is the difference. You know how when women make plates and they make a plate for their man, girls are taught to do that when they're young. Make plates for their father, make plates for their brothers. They have real life practical application of things that they do. They don't just walk around like nobody is. We may tell boys things. Oh, it's your job to provide. It's your job to protect. But we're not teaching them any of this stuff. We're talking at them. Girls who are raised to be wives have real life application of things they do to prepare them to be a wife.
Okay.
Boys don't have that.
You have a son.
I think that in both examples,
and that's
in reality,
what
I don't think there's
son,
like a
to
playbook.
be married about me being married. Every man who has a son and who's married to the mother of the child, you're pretty much teaching your son how to be a husband. You're showing them what you have to do as a husband, how you operate, how you move, how you take care of yourself and the family, and make sure certain sacrifices are made. That's a prime example. Like that's pretty much what Sharon was saying. He's seen the example of what his father did as a husband. So guess what? Him and his brother mimicked the same thing that they learned.
Yeah.
He said his father taught him to change a tire. You telling me if your father teaches you how to change a tire,
it's more than that, bro.
It's more context to changing that tire, bro.
Sherm, you saw how he's trying to diminish it just to the tire? Like there wasn't other transferable skills
I can't address everything he said with one statement, sir.
Then why'd you just use the tire to diminish the point
how many things did you want me to put in that one example? How many things you want me to include?
You used it to diminish that. If he
I'm
only
telling you,
change it, okay.
Why would I use the tire to diminish him when I flat out told him he wasn't
raised
on my
special glasses? That's the only way you could hear me.
I really think we're all agreeing.
We missing a point that is really just by example, right? And I don't think that women have a specific playbook or anything that they follow where they're saying this is how you're supposed to be for husbands. It's pretty much you see the example, and when you look at it, usually people who come from families that are married, their whole family is usually married. Their offspring ends up getting married generally. And people who come from, perpetual singles end up having single children and everything else. So just when you're thinking about what your children do, like it's always, you do tell them, you do advise them, you do give them context. But if you look at like King versus what T.I. has produced, like he saw what he did and he followed his example versus looking at what you might have told him. He might have told him all the right things, but he saw that street shit you was doing and he wanted to be like that. Your children are going to follow based on that example you're leaving. So how you behave and how you conduct yourself and the examples that they see, that's what they're going to follow. So if they see that you married and you supporting your family and you showing them this is how it's done, then you don't have to even give them specific instructions on that. They're just going to see you and kind of think that's the way to go and follow it in most cases.
That's not true. Look, okay, let me give y'all a little story real quick. Part of what you're saying is true, Trav. People do watch their parents, but most times kids misinterpret what it is that they're seeing. Most times kids misinterpret what it is that they're hearing. So I'm going to give you a little example. So there's this girl who decided to cook Christmas dinner with her friend. They decided, hey, girl, we always do Christmas alone. Let's do Christmas together this year. Cool. So they get together and they starting to cook. One of the girls is going to cook the ham. So she grabbed the ham. First thing she do, she cut the ham in half. And her friend said, why you cut the ham in half? She said, girl, that's how you cook a Christmas ham. She was like, what? She's like, that's how you cook a Christmas ham. She's like, I don't know nothing about that. We ain't never cooked no ham like that. She said, all right, hold on a second. Picks up the phone, calls her mom. Mom, would you tell her that if you're going to cook a Christmas ham, the first thing you got to do is cut it in half? The mother told the girl, she said, baby, I cut that ham in half because my pan was too small. See, the moral of the story is the girl saw what she saw and she thought she understood that that's what you're supposed to do. Most kids don't check for understanding to gain clarity of what's being done, and most parents are unaware. They're oblivious to the fact that the kid is watching them. So most parents aren't teaching by example, and most kids are misinterpreting what it is that they're seeing and what it is that they're hearing. So if you don't have practical assignments and tasks to make these kids go through and then check for understanding, you're not raising them this way.
In that example you just gave, right? It just shows how the women weren't given a specific playbook. She just saw an example. She might have misinterpreted, but even then, it's showing that women aren't like given these specific instructions on how to be a wife. I don't think so. I've never witnessed it, and they just go by what they see. I don't think that anybody's saying, "Hey, look, this is what you got to do."
My 5-year-old and my 2-year-old both came up. So they play this game where they take orders and they pretend to cook in the house. They bring the food to you, and my 2-year-old so I got a 2, 3, and 5. My 5 and 3-year-old. The 3-year-old told me that she's gonna get married and she's gonna have a baby. I said, when? She was like, now. She came out with a little ball in her stomach talking about, I got married and I got a baby on the way. My 5-year-old I never talked to her about any of this stuff before, but watching her mom cook or ask me what I want to eat, then fix the food and bring it, they're watching all that stuff. They want to participate. So like, we're not instinctively saying this is what you need to do to be a wife, but I think observing, kind of to Will's point, observing, they are absorbing that by observing it. So,
but we're not teaching them.
Yeah, like we're not sit down saying, "Hey, you need to be a wife."
That's child learns from visual. If a child learns from visual, that is
if you're not teaching your kids,
Marcus, that wasn't
so they can have a level of understanding. That's a problem on us as parents. Then
I think y'all listen. I think y'all think because we tell somebody something that's teaching, or because they see us do certain things that's teaching. That's not teaching.
That is teaching.
It's not teaching.
That is teaching.
Kids don't go to school. Listen, kids don't go to school. Kids don't go to school and tell the students to watch the teacher do all the work on the whiteboard and just pay attention and you'll learn. That's not how they teach. They don't just lecture all day and then the kids will get it because I told them. That's not how they teach. Teaching is a process.
You're wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead, y'all got it.
Will, you are wrong. You can learn visually.
And everybody, they know their own kids.
Right? And they learn. No, they don't. People do not know their kids. They think they know their kids.